and in accordance with Massachusetts law, which allows us to meet virtually in accordance with state codes and in accordance with the technology and the equipment, and the meeting has been properly posted, I hereby start the Alternative Energy Committee meeting on December 12th, 2024, and it will officially start at 7:35. And we have a quorum. And we do not have a speaker today, but we still have a lot to go through. So that said, I think depending on how long the discussion about our 2025 objectives go, I'd like to aim for a 9 o'clock end, if that works for everybody. All right. So welcome. We don't have anybody here, but why don't we just go around and do introductions? So if anybody is watching our videos for posterity, they will know who we are. My name is Tanya Bodell. I'm the chair of the Alternative Energy Committee, and I have been in that role for 5 years.
Martha Gangemi, I've been on the committee for 2 years, I think. Secretary and jack of all trades.
I'm Chris Aldis, and I'm a member of the committee. I think I've been on the committee for a couple years as well.
Tom Daly, member of the committee, same.
I'm Steve Winter, also member of the committee, chair of the Aggregation Subcommittee.
And how long have you been on this committee, Steve?
Longer than I can remember.
Excellent.
I'm Barbara Russell, and I second Martha and Christopher 2 years on the AEC. I'm happy to be here.
And Julia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Julia Gillis, Assistant Town Planner and Liaison for the AEC. I've now been with the town for 5 months.
And our fearless liaison. Perfect. All right. I distributed about maybe an hour ago or less the final draft of the meeting minutes from November 14th, 2024. I apologize that you didn't get them further ahead of time, but let's just take a couple of moments. If you could quickly peruse those meeting minutes, they would have arrived in your email box within the past hour. And when we take a couple minutes to do that.
Yeah, my apologies. That was totally my fault.
Well, it's also my fault because I didn't get to it yesterday. Hello, 508-648-6909.
Hi, it's Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
How are you?
Good. Glad you could join us.
I am here.
Excellent. So we're taking a moment to review the meeting minutes, and I sent them out about an hour ago. So I think some people are just seeing them for the first time. So we're taking a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All right. Has everybody had a chance to review them? If you've had enough time, I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting. Motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Make that motion.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tom. So Chris made the motion, Tom seconded. Is there any discussion? All right. I want to commend our secretary again for another round of amazing meeting minutes. We have a motion and a second. No discussion. We need to do a roll call vote. So if you could say your name and whether or not you'd like to approve the meeting minutes with an I, we can just go around the table.
Martha Gangemi, aye.
Steve
Tom
Winter.
Daly, aye.
Barbara
Chris
Russell,
Aldis and
aye.
I.
Aye.
Debbie Cook, abstain. I have not read them.
Okay. And Debbie, I think you were not there as well
Oh, okay.
because we had to change it for logistical reasons.
Right.
Okay, so we have I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes, 0 negatives, 0 nays, and 1 abstention to approve the meeting minutes from November. So the meeting minutes are approved. I will take those, turn them into a final version, and send them for posting. Town staff report. Julia, can you catch us up on things?
Absolutely. So I'll try to make this as brief as possible. To start, the electric school bus lease. I received a status email from Michelle Leary, Assistant Town Manager, this morning. They had a call with Mass CEC to discuss the e-bus. They assured us that they were working with NLX to make sure the pilot program is a success. However, they mentioned their financial interests are not really a concern. There was a second call with the schools and NL to express their concerns about the bus performance and the contractual requirements of NL. They're committed to seeing this project through. The next steps are to wait until the mechanic is on site Friday to discuss the e-bus repair and charging capacity. After receiving the findings report, we will schedule another call and discuss the practicality of moving forward with this project. Are there any questions before I move on to the next bullet?
Yes. What's going on with the school bus? Is it just it's having some issues or?
Julia,
So
I
it's
don't
the-
think you know. Do you know the answer to that?
I don't.
Okay, so if you can make a note and it'll go on your to-do list to find out what the status is. I spoke to a school committee member who said the bus is being used and it's working and they've been using it to take kids on different routes. And I do know that we have not received a request for a lease payment yet. So we haven't been invoiced for a payment and the town has not made a payment. So I don't know, but I have also heard that there have been some mechanical issues. And at one point, like the back window wouldn't lock or something like that. But I don't know what the details are. So if you could just fill us in on what the status of the bus is. That
Okay,
would
and
be
that's
helpful.
specifically for the bus, not the lease, just like the physical bus, if there's any issues with that.
Well, yeah, because what I heard you say is that there's a mechanical issue. And under our
Yeah.
lease, NLX has to pay for all, well, it's under warranty, but under the lease, NLX pays for any improvements or maintenance, operations and maintenance and fuel.
Yes, okay. Yeah, sorry, I just didn't have that clarified beforehand what the actual mechanical issue is.
Okay.
Next, the National Grid MOU. This was actually sent back to us today. It's been signed by both Town of Cohasset and National Grid. That was emailed out to all of you for your reference.
Yay, and congratulations, Julia and Debbie,
Yeah.
for making
A
it
lot.
happen in record time of 8 months.
Oh, dear.
Well, congratulations to us.
I know, I seriously, when I say 8 months, that is a record for us to be able to get something from town council's office and a contract signed. So nice work, Debbie and Julia. We appreciate all your effort in pushing this over the finish line.
Yes, huge thank you to Debbie.
Well, I'm just glad it's done and we can, roll up our sleeves and get going.
Absolutely.
Could I ask a question since Julia has talked about the school bus? Would this be time to ask? I think there's some new state aid for helping schools procure electric school buses. Is it too early to look into that for Cohasset to start the process for expanding the fleet of electric school buses?
Well, that actually may fall into the next category, which is the National Grid Vehicle Inventory Assessment. Because it was an assessment done by National Grid and addresses the whole fleet for the town. So school buses are also included in the study. Do you mind if I hop to
Yeah.
that bullet?
No, good.
Okay. I'm gonna try and simplify this. So there were two documents, and I'm not sure if the committee had seen them before, my starting here. I would assume you have because it was dated 2023. But I just reshared them in case you hadn't seen them yet or just needed a refresher. So that was shared with you December 10th. It includes a roadmap to fleet vehicle electrification. There's analysis assumptions, and there are specific vehicle recommendations, as well as financial and environmental impacts, and it includes next steps. So in 2022, the town of Cohasset met with the account manager. At the time, it was Andrew Balin. I contacted Amanda Formica, and I'm gonna get in touch with the account manager. I'm not sure if it's still Andrew Balin. So that was to discuss the program and share town fleet data. A key takeaway from that meeting was that the town was concerned with converting medium and heavy duty vehicles and the maintenance of these vehicles. So there was a time frame given, and they identified vehicles to be replaced within the window of 2023 to 2036 for a maximum life vehicle life of 15 years. 66 on-road vehicles were identified to have EV options available, and 46 of those would be beneficial to convert over 14 years. And they did have financial information for background and to explain over the lifespan and the total cost of ownership over the span of owning the EV vehicles. So they gave a helpful roadmap, which illustrated steps and the timeline. First, it was to review the report, then ask your account manager questions. It may be Hugh Reese, and I'm working on getting in touch with him to kind of restart this discussion because it seemed to have somewhat fizzled out maybe in 2022. So it'll entail a review of the Mass Fleet Advisory Services Program, and then we'll look into resources on incentives and grants and training. And then we're going to work with the next steps would be to work with the account manager to plan your organization's next steps, present information to stakeholders, share electrification plans with stakeholders inside and outside the organization, discuss charging infrastructure with National Grid, then acquire AEVs, and then as opportunities or challenges arise, you would talk to the account manager. So we do see that the infrastructure does revisit because we were talking about level 3 chargers at the previous meetings. So that might be something that goes hand in hand with this assessment and moving forward. They do give helpful diagrams for all types of the vehicles that are within the Cohasset fleet. That's including school buses, light duty pickups, medium duty pickups, and police SUVs. And those are pretty much those vehicles listed consist of half of the fleet. So those are a large portion. They also talk about the number of public EV chargers in town, and that might need to increase due to increasing inventory of EV vehicles and time to charge. They also list potential incentive programs and funding sources. I don't know if these programs are still active, as this assessment was done in 2023. So that's something I can talk to the account manager about, or if any of you are aware which ones are active or not. So I guess next steps for the inventory would be contacting the account manager and set up plan of action, researching current incentives, and maybe revisiting the level 3 charger discussion, and establishing locations in town for infrastructure. So that is my synopsis of the assessment. Does anyone have any questions regarding that?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I think that the inventory and the assessment is all part of our requirement to stay in the Green Communities program. Every year they have to do an inventory and an assessment of where we are. And so do we need to redo that this year? Is that what has been done? Or has it been a year now since that was done? Where does that stand?
I can certainly check on that. I know that the annual report for Green Communities was just submitted, and I'm not positive, but I think some of those types of vehicles listed, like the police SUVs, or emergency service vehicles, they can new vehicles that aren't EV, because there may be like a barrier in place of getting those types of EVs. But I don't know for sure. So that's something I can look into.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the current Green Community requirement is. Originally, it was that any replacement vehicle should be an EV vehicle if there was an appropriate one available. But I don't even know if the town has been following that, because there was some new vehicle procured earlier this year, which was not an EV. So I'm a little bit confused about the requirements and whether we're following them or not.
Yeah, I think, Steve, you looked into this because you had raised this before and found that, in fact, the Green Communities does not require new vehicles to be replaced with EVs.
I thought it was any vehicle that was replacing a current vehicle in the fleet, not an addition to the fleet. That was my understanding way back when. But if this new vehicle procured this year was a new addition to the fleet, then I guess it wasn't required to be EV. But
I can certainly double check on that.
It'd be nice to revisit that and see what the current requirement is.
Absolutely.
If we want to go
Julia,
for, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, that I was thinking that actually the EV, the fleet assessment was required for the Climate Leaders Program, not so much for the Green Communities, and the town had to sign its intention of replacing the vehicles. So I think we should really look into what if, the exact requirements going forward for Climate Leaders.
Yeah, and what the difference is between the requirement for Climate Leaders and the requirement for just the plain vanilla Green Community program.
Right.
I'm a little confused, even though originally I tried to read all the requirements there, but I'm confused at this point.
I would
Well-
be happy to work with Julia to further define that. If you
Thank you.
want help, Julia, not if I don't want to
Um,
insert myself if you don't want.
Of course. No,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Martha. And I think also, given that we're talking about vehicles, we need to bring in or liaise with the capital planning committee because they make the decisions about what vehicles can be replaced and when. And I don't know if they've even seen this inventory. And if they have, they may have forgotten about it. Corey Evans is on that committee. He also is in auto parts and is just a genius when it comes to cars. So why don't I put on my to-do list, Martha, I'll reach out to Corey and see if he has a recommendation on how our committee and his committee can work together with respect to this vehicle inventory and the recommendations and next steps in implementing it going forward, especially in anticipation of the information Martha and Julia are going to find out, which is what would we need to do as part of the Climate Leaders Program and or Green Communities Program with respect to our vehicle fleet.
Tanya, you're talking, is that reference to the capital budgeting committee? Is that Corey?
Capital
Okay.
budget. Yep.
Yep. Thanks.
Did I say capital planning? Yeah, capital budget.
I'm not, I didn't catch anything, so thanks.
I don't know how relevant this is, but I was just kind of cursory glance as to what's required. And Greenfield, Mass, decided that they would try to get 2 EV police cars, even though I don't think it was required from what I'm reading. And it saved, and then they realized that it was going to save them $50,000 for every 2 police cars in gas costs per year. So they decided to do it anyway. It's kind of interesting.
Wow, really?
$50,000 for two police vehicles.
For gas
You're-
car, is that for incremental energy cost or is that just gas? So they have to pay for the
The
electricity?
gas, just the gas savings. I mean, I don't know. I mean, could they have spent $25,000 of premium on an EV versus an ICE vehicle? I don't know.
I'm just wondering, I'm wondering how much the electric recharging cost. I mean, if it's incremental, the electric recharging cost.
Yeah,
Well, with the rate-
it's kind of a wash, I think, and at the current rates, it's about, they've got it adjusted to where the cost's about the same to charge it up as it does to run it on gas, although police vehicles are hogs.
well, Deb and I both have the same car and we save a ton of money every month. Right, Deb? I mean, my Tesla gives you a readout on what you saved in gas and we know what we pay per kilowatt hour here. So,
Right.
Really,
Not
I'm gonna
only
have to go
gas,
back
but
to our
servicing.
Tesla and look at that.
yeah, you should look at that.
On servicing too. Don't forget. I mean, I've never had my Tesla serviced in 6 years, so maybe I'm being bad and have skipped something, but I've never had it serviced. So, there's a lot of savings.
Right.
Yeah, I had mine for almost 3.5 years and no service at all. All I had to do
Same.
was put some air in the tire
Same.
and put windshield wiper fluid in.
You
Right.
too,
No
Martha?
oil
Is that
change.
you? Yeah, it's
Right.
a no-brainer. I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but
And
when I
if you're
saw
a real
that-
cheapskate, you can go to the Stop and Shop and fill up your electric vehicle for nothing.
by the way, that is not true. I just spoke to a woman a few weeks ago who was charging her car. I said, I heard that's true. She said, no, it's not.
Of course it is. I've done it. What do you mean?
Did they change it? Because she said that she was paying for it and she looked like an honest, good citizen.
Oh no, you just go there, you take the nozzle off the thing and stick it in your car and walk away.
You sure
Maybe
it's
you've been
charging it,
cheating it,
Steve?
Steve.
You don't
Yeah,
show
right.
it a card
Steve,
or an account
gonna
or
be a-
anything.
Really?
No. It's
Well,
totally
she was
free.
misinformed. I don't know how she
Unless
got the
they
news.
change it in the last week.
Is that what you do, Steve? You go over and shares your car at the Stop and Shop lot?
Yeah, well, and right across the street we have Thayer and Whitney Woods, and you can go for a hike and get exercise and come back and maybe if it's around lunchtime, I'll go in there and buy myself a sandwich.
Interesting. I don't know if I want to advertise that. Remember, the AEC is freeloading on the free charger. All right.
That's what it's there for.
Okay.
Um,
I thought it was there to induce people to
Yeah,
go green.
actually, I think I mentioned last time in our last meeting that I did read an article that said that when companies 10 years ago first started to put these free chargers in, they didn't get much use, and some supermarkets took them back out. But now they're putting them in again, and they've done some studies that showed that it actually does drive traffic, and they actually are seeing an increase in sales that they attribute to having that service there available. So, I assume that's why Stop and Shop put them in, to try to attract customers. Although just having two plugs is not attracting a lot of new business, but and my sandwiches don't add up to a whole lot. Probably not as much as the electricity costs. So.
Well, there's other tenants there too. There's a liquor store.
Yeah, right.
well, I think there's a lot that we can do with this vehicle inventory. I think getting the liaison with Capital Budget Committee, who makes the decisions about fleet replacement. I think we should think about also reaching out to the police and fire department, especially the police department with respect to their new building, and try to make sure that it's being wired for level 3 chargers, just in the event that they do start converting to electric vehicles. And maybe we can send that article about the town that did save money by converting to electric police cars. And most certainly the detective cars could be electric as well. So I think there's a lot for us to do. I don't want to get into a lot of detail on this, but I think it could be part of our conversation about what we want to focus on in 2025 and how to do that.
Tanya, can I ask, do we have a liaison to work on the police department? I mean, I know we've talked with Amanda, and I guess things were, they hadn't even started the planning yet, but it seems like we should have a liaison. And Julia, I don't know how involved you are with the police department, but we need to be on their case about the level 3 chargers and things like that.
Yes, I can get more information on that. I'm not very involved. I went to one meeting with the project engineer, but I don't know recent advancements.
Okay, if you could just, Julia, as an action item, identify who's sort of spearheading the whole police department build and the decisions that go into it, and see if there's a committee or if it's a tight group of people or an individual.
Okay.
And somehow I think what we'll want to do, I expect when we talk about our priorities for 2025, we might want to insert somebody into that process if they'll have us to help identify potential opportunities.
Yes.
Okay, great. Beautiful. All right, Julia, you're still up on green communities.
Yes. So I met with Lisa Sullivan, our regional coordinator, on Friday, December 6th, to go over the process of closing out the recent projects at Osgood and Deer Hill schools for the green communities. This needs to get done before the town can apply for the next round in the spring. So I'm working on gathering information from the facilities director, Nick Berardi, so that we can pay Innovis the work and complete our project narrative and submit that to green communities for reimbursement. And then we should be all set to for the spring.
Great.
And then I just wanted to give a quick shout out. The first Green Community Summit was November 22nd, and I want to thank Debbie for attending and representing Cohasset.
Debbie,
and I will say, it was absolutely fantastic. It was so beneficial, and I will send you all a link because the presentations, I have not checked them, but supposedly all the presentations are up. And there were like 2 or 3 breakout sessions So, you know, unfortunately, you can't be at all of them. So, so I think maybe we should, you know, either divvy them up, or, you know, anyone who's interested should look at some of them, because there are climate leaders communities, and there was a lot of learnings to be had from that.
Awesome.
That'd be great, Debbie. I'd love to watch a few of those.
Terrific. Well,
I'd like to see
I
them
will do
also.
that tomorrow. Huh?
Thank you for going,
Yeah.
Debbie.
Oh, well, you know what? It was great. And Amanda was there. And so I did spend a bunch of time with her. And so it was good. And Lisa Sullivan was there too. And yeah, but it was really interesting to find out there are several climate leaders communities, and some of them are fairly small. So they've done it.
Great. And then that's all I have for green communities.
Okay, great. Any questions for Julia before we move on? All right, Steve Leonard, can you give us an update, or is there an update on the Community Choice Aggregation Program?
I don't have an update. Do you have an update, Debbie?
Not really. I think, you know, Steve, you and I have talked about, you know, trying to push the 100%, and I think a lot of things have intervened, but hopefully, like after Christmas, I'm thinking we should really get going on that. I have talked to people. I even talked to people in Scituate about it, but you know, sort of. Anyway, yeah, some different angles of approaching it. So hopefully, right, Steve? Will.
Yep. Let's
Good.
get
I
on
think
that.
it starts in December, right? Or has it already started?
December. So I think it started December 5th or 12th or something like that. Maybe tomorrow. Or
I think
yesterday, or-
it's a different date for each resident, depending on when they get their, you know, how their bills are, you know, when in the month that they get their bills. But their January bill should show that they're on the aggregation program, the new rates.
Great. And Steve, we have a to-do list for you, a to-do item for you, which is to get the spreadsheet calculation of the savings to the town.
Oh, I sent you out that.
Oh, so you did.
Oh,
So we can
yes.
cross that off. So you
Yeah.
have the actual spreadsheet?
Well, it wasn't really a spreadsheet, but what's his name from Good Energy? Gary. Oh, Gary, what's his name? Sent us an email with a description of exactly how they did the calculation. It was a pretty simple calculation. So, and I distributed that to you and Julia and Martha, I guess, or Barbara,
Okay.
or Martha. Who did I send it to? I forget.
Do you know what day you sent it?
I think I sent it to Martha, and I think you sent me a reply back saying thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you sent it to
I
me
don't-
too. I've got it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if I have a calculation.
Yeah, a calculation, you know, before all we saw was their end result, and Tanya thought she needed a more detail to mention this to the select board, so now we have it.
Okay, but Steve, do you know when you sent that?
No, can't you search on my name? And you don't get many emails from me. I think if you search my name, it should pop up.
You know what? I have it right here. Okay. Let's see. You sent it. Okay. So basically, it was sent on December 2nd. December 2nd, it was sent, and it was a narrative of how he calculated it. from Patrick Roach.
Patrick, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he basically took the average monthly usage, multiplied that usage by the program's default product price and by the National Grid basic service cost to get two total cost amounts, and then took the difference between the two, which was 700,000, broke it down by households, 2,650 households, to get about 270 in savings per account. So it's very sort of a generalized calculation.
And by the way, he was very embarrassed when I mentioned to him that in the letter that went out to the residents, it said that the aggregate savings was $700.00, not $700,000. He was very embarrassed.
Hey, Deb, could you send around that spreadsheet to everybody too? I'll take a look at it.
The spreadsheet or just the narrative that he wrote?
It's
Well,
both.
whatever you
There
have.
is a spreadsheet as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a spreadsheet included with the narrative. I have it. I found it on my phone. You want me to text it to you all again?
Yeah, I think it's right here. I
okay.
got it.
Yeah, we'll distribute that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Steve, for following up on that. We can take that off your to-do list. Nice work.
So Tanya, I'm always confused. Do you want to use your Gmail account or your work
can use-
email?
It goes to the same place. So,
Okay.
sorry. So if there's a date, I don't want the work email for communications and materials, and only for scheduling.
I'll always send it to you in your Gmail account then.
Yeah, Gmail's fine.
Okay.
And I did find it, so thank you.
Does it have the attachment there?
Yep. And I have
Okay,
this-
so I won't bother sending it again.
Nope, I'll resend it out to everybody
All right.
just for posterity. I think, don't we have information on, I guess, do we need to, we have information on total electricity usage for the town, right? Didn't we have that as part of our carbon inventory? Or was that just the municipal usage?
No, we have it for the whole town. Yes, we have all the energy usage in the town. Everything's accounted for.
For the whole community?
Except for
residents,
strangers who happen to drive through our town. We don't have
Right.
their their carbon emissions, but you know, we have an estimate even for all the vehicles in town, what they
Okay,
emitted, as well as all the gas and oil and
and we have that information monthly?
was that by month? I don't remember. We did get a spreadsheet, but remember, it was a couple years out of date, and the state's not updating that information on a very
That's
timely
true.
basis.
So maybe, Julia, could we ask Amanda to provide us with monthly usage for the town of Cohasset, total electricity and total natural gas usage on a monthly basis, going back in time a couple years?
Yes, I can send that request to her and see
Perfect.
what she says.
That would be great. We, it's always good to have. I know the town has that, but to try to get it, it's probably easier for you to go to Amanda versus trying to get it from the town. Although the treasurer might have it as well. So if you could also reach out to the treasurer, and then that way we could get an ongoing information feed on how much electricity usage there is. But that said, we don't know what portion of the residents are being serviced by the community aggregation program.
Well, I think if you're interested in knowing the aggregation, we should simply stick with or ask a good energy for those numbers. I don't know what you're trying to compare the total electricity usage with the electricity usage under the aggregation program. Is that what you're?
Well, there's a number in there, which is the total usage divided by 12, and the usage varies, right? So it's going to be a little bit off than what the weighted average is.
Well,
gonna
I
be.
think they're taking the aggregate for the whole year. and using that number.
National Grid would have the
Kilowatt hours
total, they're doing
being
all the delivery.
Mhm.
And they, on their bills, they take out who's not on National Grid, who's on the aggregate on the
Oh, okay, you're right.
community program. So you could ask her to bust it out that way
Yeah, okay, so.
and get a better
that's
picture.
Great point, Tom. So Julie, if you could ask her for that information. We're looking for total town usage divided into community aggregation versus other.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Okay, perfect. Well, now we know how they're calculating the number, and we have a path forward if we want to be more detailed. I want to be able to answer questions if we present it and then the select board asks us, additional information. Okay, Tom, any questions for Steve on community choice aggregation? Tom Daly, you're up.
Yes.
School Facilities Committee.
I got to tell you, I think you saw the email saying that the earliest they're going to get out of the gate with a new roof at Osgood is maybe, in all caps, summer of 26.
Mm-hmm.
However, I heard from, I'm getting my facilities managers mixed up with another project. Hang on. I heard from Jason Earls that as soon as they can get an OPM and the engineering firm on board to start the initial design, that's when they will be determining the feasibility of putting an array on the roof at Osgood. And I think that's when we can't be waiting around till 26. We need to be in at the earliest design stage. So I think that should be our target, is to work with Jason and company once that OPM is selected.
Mm-hmm.
And the latest email I had from him was the 30th of November, Thanksgiving, basically. And I don't think they've done much since then, but as soon as the OPM is out, we can start working with this and the engineering firm. They said that MSDA is green energy oriented, and everybody believes that Osgood's roof will support an array, but that will be part of the initial design workup.
Okay, great.
Tom, who
and I
is
think-
Jason? Jason who?
Excuse me.
Who is
Earls.
Jason? Earls? Who is he?
He heads up the school facilities committee, which holds the irregular meetings.
Okay.
And they do not have a mailing list per se. It's a little bit the opposite of what we do, I think, as far as the detail goes. So we're going through the school committee. It's easier. But I had a separate communication with them.
Thank you.
And I think in addition to the solar energy array, I believe the roof can hold more than 500 kW, which would then require in a Massachusetts law that it have energy storage as well. And that could be very useful for Osgood because they've had to move the refrigerators of food from the cafeteria into other locations when that
Can't make it up.
big trucks. They've had to rent
Yeah.
trucks to move the food. And in some cases, the food just went bad. They had to throw it all out. So I think if, they're interested, there's a lot we can contribute, and including shepherding the process for getting developer bids to be able to install both the solar energy panels as well as energy storage.
Right.
And there might be some incentives on the energy storage side from National Grid that we could use. So I think something for us to think about with respect to our conversations with Amanda, but this is another one of those things. So to-do list, Tom Daly, if you could continue to monitor this.
Yes.
And keep us in the process. And Julia, same thing, work with Tom to make sure he knows who is the decision maker and whether it's a committee that we can be in as a liaison or regular meetings, whatever the process is. We just need to understand the process and be involved.
Yeah, I think the school committee is probably a better target than the school facilities committee.
Well, I will talk to our liaison who feels that he doesn't have to attend our meetings for some reason. And find out from him what he thinks. But I have asked him to keep us apprised of that.
Somebody's
must-
got to walk the dog.
Somebody's got to do all sorts of things. Okay, great. Thank you, Tom. I'm glad you're
Yep.
connected in. So it would make sense, I think, for us to keep monitoring the school committee agendas. They're not always good about posting their meeting minutes
No.
in a timely fashion, but I think watching what's on the agenda, and if this is ever on the agenda, make sure somebody is attending. So if you can't attend, send an email
Right.
out to all of us and say, look, this is happening. I can't attend. Could somebody just listen
Right.
in?
Got it.
And- okay, perfect. Awesome. Any questions for Tom? All right, Chris, did you want to give a little bit of an update on the conversation that we had the other week?
I'll try, and Tanya, please course correct if I get certain facts or things mixed up. So Tanya and I met with the principals at Palmer Capital. They're the firm behind the solar array at the RTF. There's a new program called Clean Peak Energy Certificate Program. Is it state level, Tanya? State level that incentivizes investment in large battery storage on certain circuits in the state. And it's a first come, first served program. Only one person you sort of claim the circuit. If you're first there at the party, you get to be the sponsor for the circuit. The circuit in Cohasset that's on the list is the one that comes in across Wampatuck and sort of goes through where the Wampatuck circuit goes up through the center of town, I think, and out towards Jerusalem Road, that direction. The idea would be to put some 5 megawatt batteries on the circuit. The benefits aren't necessarily it'll run the circuit if the power goes out, but it will be excess energy available for peaks. It'll improve the quality, so that circuit's a little bit of noisy apparently because it's such a at capacity. It delays National Grid's investment to increase the capacity of that line, and it also could potentially be a backup for the shopping center, which would be the proposed location of these batteries. What they're proposing is putting the batteries in the Stop and Shop Plaza between the new building and the building that used to house Feng Shui, so sort of in that left-hand corner as you're looking in. Palmer Capital came to the Alternative Energy Committee just asking for our thoughts and asking whether we'd be sort of encourage this sort of investment in the town. Tanya and I sort of said that we thought the committee would endorse this sort of thing, but we wanted to bring it to you to sort of say, does this make sense to you? Do you like this idea? Do you want to hear more about it? Would you endorse large battery storage? The capacity, the maximum, the program is capped at 5 megawatts, and that's what they would install, which are about, I think, 5 or 6 tractor trailer sized batteries in that back corner. So Tanya, that's how I remember it.
That is an excellent summary, Christopher.
Oh, good.
Is an excellent summary. I did look up the Clean Peak Energy certificates do give additional revenue if the facility is also used for backup power generation. So we had talked about the stacked value of batteries, and the Clean Peak Energy certificate program does provide extra if they're using the backup. And so it's a private investment on private land in our town. And, when they first proposed it, my question was, well, it's private. Why do you need us? And it really is just, I think they look to us as a committee that understands the benefits of these types of investments. why it would make sense to have it in the town. And I think that there are a lot of different types of benefits that we most certainly could understand and authenticate as a credible source for the decision makers that are deciding on siting, planning, other things. So as a general matter, it is definitely needed for our town. We are reaching capacity on the line that comes through Wampatuck Park. That is the primary source of electricity for the town. There are 2 other lines that come into town. So this town is serviced by only 3 lines. We are at the end of the line, and the ocean, as you know, borders us. So we have 3 lines coming in. Wampatuck is by far the largest, 17.5 megawatts. It's reaching its capacity. That's why this was identified in the program as a location where it would make sense for a 5 megawatt battery to be installed. It could be one piece of a potential microgrid going forward, slowly but surely, but that would not, it's neither here nor there. It's a private decision, private land, private investment. But I think that there are some general benefits that we'd want to explore more. So we did ask when they're comfortable, would they want to come present to our committee so that we would be informed and therefore could make a formal decision to recommend it, to provide information on it, to, basically help within the town, help the members of the town understand what this investment is about.
Now, one particular interesting feature is that the batteries will be called on to for their energy by a sort of a central source, I guess, National Grid, and will also be told when to absorb energy. So it's it'll be managed centrally in terms of in and outs of the energy of the batteries.
Yeah, it would be, I don't know if it'd be National Grid or ISO New England. I suspect they would bid the capacity of this battery into the capacity market for ISO New England, in which case it would become a wholesale asset as well. So, again, the thing about batteries is there's so many levels of benefits that can be accrued in a market design such as New England's, and they're looking at all the different ways that they could obtain those revenues, and the Clean Peak Energy certificates are one way to be able to do that. Okay, so stay tuned for more, but we did want to let you know we got more information on this opportunity. And I think it's an intriguing one. And I'm actually psyched that Cohasset is on the list, because I think we should be on the list. And I think we do need these types of assets in town.
Are there permitting hurdles to move through for this to happen?
Well, yes, since there's no section in the bylaws on batteries, it needs to get special approval under the zoning bylaws, and it has to get permits, and it has to, they have to make sure they're not putting it in a wetlands, so conservation committee may be involved. So there's a whole dog and pony show that they have to go through with the town.
Would we want to help them by giving testimony before the appropriate committee or committees to explain what the benefits are to the town as a whole? I
think that's why they approached us. And we could not.
I think we should be willing to do that and let them suggest, if they have a hearing coming up, they should notify us in advance, and one of us would go there and talk about it.
Okay. So I think let's Chris, if you could give them the feedback. Well, I guess if there's interest in learning more from this committee, this is the first step. We wanted to give you an update. If there's interest in learning more, we'd like to invite them to come and present and share with us when it's right for them. Remember, it's a very competitive process, so they may or may not want to highlight it at this point, but when it's right for them, we'd love for them to come and present. And then once they give us the details of the project, I think this committee can make an informed decision as to how we want to be involved.
Is everybody?
I didn't catch, what was the limit on this kind of
5 megawatts.
I mean, a number of 5 megawatt installations. Is there some some
One.
limit that National Grid or ISO is putting on this?
One.
One.
Per circuit.
Oh,
Yeah.
one per circuit. Okay.
Yeah, so,
I think it's great that the private developers are competing to, put in batteries. That's great.
I don't know whether there's a cap in the overall program, Steve, if, if they get 200 requests where they can accommodate them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the program is interesting because it was designed to provide energy storage for the offshore wind that the state was pursuing. So as more offshore wind comes online, the quantity required in the program goes up. And that helps the price stay supported. This is a special piece of that program because they identified that there are specific areas outside of the offshore wind that could use battery storage. And they wanted to start to direct the battery storage investment by private investors into those areas. And that's where suddenly Cohasset popped up, and Palmer Capital was reviewing the list and said, oh, we know that town very well. Why don't we look into it? There are some other locations I think that they're also looking into, but obviously this is in their backyard and this is their home. And so they thought that it would be a nice opportunity to pursue the incentives that are being offered.
So is everybody comfortable with me letting Palmer Capital know we're interested in learning more?
Yes.
Great, I'll do
Yes.
that.
All right. Excellent. Chris, thank you for being the
Yeah.
liaison on that and bring that to our attention. As I said, I think it has a lot of interesting potential and I can't wait to learn more. Any questions for Chris? All right, so an action item, he'll go back to Palmer Capital, let him know that our committee is interested in learning more and based on that information, finding ways potentially to work with them to the extent we see that there are a lot of benefits for the town. Okay, data report. Chris, you are still up.
Yeah, okay, let me share, hold on. Okay, everybody, is the data, is the dashboard up? Yes. Okay, so here's the latest. Let me get you guys out of the way here. Hold on a second. There we go. So December is a partial month, so you look through the November, you can see that November is, from a driver point of view, is about comparable. But the number of sessions are down a bit from 339 to 295. Julia and I were charged with sort of sorting out what this section looks like, the financial section. And I think, Julia, we're waiting for authority from Michelle to get into some databases at ChargePoint. Is that true?
Yeah, that's correct. That's still underway. We have administrative permissions, but we'd need network manager permissions to access the financial data. So that's still underway. I will keep you posted.
And then I think the plan is that Julie and I will get on the phone, so we review that. Julie and I will get on the phone with a ChargePoint. This will go through element by element. So we have a really good understanding of sort of how some of this stuff is constructed. Is you comfortable with that, Julia? I mean, what I just represented?
Would you mind repeating? I'm sorry.
Sure. I think the next step, once we get the admin rights sorted out, is that you and I are getting on the phone with ChargePoint and just to ask them to take us through these data elements with some explanation.
Yes, that sounds like a plan.
Good. All right, great. And then the last thing I'll just note is that the energy, although the sessions are down, the energy consumption was down, not as much, just a little bit, from 4.36 megawatt hours to 4.15. So that's that. I can pull up the solar array too, Tanya, if you'd like me to.
Okay, yeah, please.
Hold on, I have to move you guys again so I get to where I'm going. Hold on. All right, I can't see where's my stop sharing button? Oh, stop share, there we go. Okay, now I'm gotta go, hold on, get to my Adobe. There we go. Okay, now into share. Share. Okay, there we go. We earned another nearly $4,000 in November to bring our grand total for the year to 62. So we'll get to at least $65,000 this year. And we are unfortunately not going to probably make it to 500,000 this year, but that sort of big milestone event will occur early next year. So the money keeps us sort of being manufactured from the sun up there at the RTF. Fortunately, not impacted by the fire. We're still generating dollar bills despite a chunk of the RTF burning down. Any questions on this one?
Looks
Kaching.
like our production is holding pretty steady for the time of year.
Yeah, and I think Tanya, am I right in that they've figured out the inverter problem and we're going to be getting a new inverter that'll increase production? Is that right, Monica?
That is correct.
Yeah,
And I
so-
think it's costing Palmer Capital around $100,000
Oh my gosh.
beyond what they had budgeted for. So it's unfortunate, a little annoying for them, but this is one of the benefits to the town of using a developer, right? I mean, they're getting a return on it's a great price for us. So I don't think they're getting much of a return, but they bear the risk.
Yeah, I think they priced this one pretty narrowly. I mean,
Very narrowly. This was a good neighbor price for
yeah,
sure.
Neighbor, right.
Tell them they ought to amortize the investment in a new inverter by expanding the solar array.
I think I did suggest to them that if there were ways to expand the use of that land for more capacity, we would be open to supporting that.
I'm sorry, but what does the inverter do?
It converts the electricity created by the solar array into something that can be linked into the grid. And then, it goes from DC to AC. Is that right, Tanya?
Yeah, the reason it's called
That
an
is
inverter is
correct.
because they take half of the DC and flip it over. They invert it to get the AC.
Okay,
That's where the name comes from.
thank you.
Yeah, and the AC is a sine curve, whereas DC is just a straight flow.
Flat.
And so-
Right.
Inverted DC is a square curve too, but it's up and down. Like it looks more like a sine curve.
That's right. It's an approximation of the sine curve so that it
Exactly.
can go into the system more easily.
It looks like a digital sine curve.
Right.
For those of us who have solar panels, we have little inverters in our basements.
If you have an AC outlet in your car, you have an inverter.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So
Which most of the electric vehicles do now.
And
Oh, I
actually,
see.
that's why the DC fast charging, because it's DC to DC.
Correct.
And they don't have to go through an inverter, which can slow things down. Okay, great data, Chris. Thank you for
Yep.
that. Any questions for Chris? All right, I think we're going to hit $500,000, $500,000 in March. Is
Well,
my
we'll have a little party
guess.
up at the RTF. We'll
Uh,
take 0.01% of that and buy a cake.
we most certainly can. All right, fabulous. Okay, 2024 initiatives. And maybe we can combine the update on the 2024 initiatives, Climate Leaders Program, with the priorities for 2025, because I suspect that a lot of our 2025 is going to be focused on Climate Leaders Program. Is everybody okay if we combine the next two items?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's 8:39. We're trying to be done in 20 minutes. I think that gives us enough time to discuss what we want to focus on in 2025. So one of the beautiful things about this committee in my mind is the passion that fuels it. And it's effective passion that gets applied and we make things happen. And so what we do at the end of every year is identify what we want to make happen in the next year. And then we have an early January or late January, early February meeting with the select board to go over with them all of the great things that we did the prior year and things that are still in the cooker and initiatives that we want to continue and new initiatives that we want to make happen. And we get their blessing and we get their feedback. And if there's something that they're not comfortable with, we get to hear about that too. But generally, we have a lot of political capital and we are usually given a blessing to proceed. So what I'd like to do in the next, say, 15 to 17 minutes is hear from everybody what you would like to make sure we're focused on in 2025.
Climate leaders community.
Climate leaders community.
Yeah.
Get a climate action plan.
Also,
Take
and
it
as
away,
part
Deb.
of that, definitely the five categories, especially the building code, the stretch building code.
That's all part of climate leaders.
It is, but I mean, we're going to have to do, them separately.
Right.
So we definitely, if we have to prioritize fleet study and stretch code.
Well, I think the good news is I've already got those slides, so you've just made my life easy. I think that's a natural progression. We made the recommendation. Last year at this time, and then when we presented to the select board, we told them that we wanted to explore further and understand more what this entailed and what the town's feeling was. We have all that information. We've now made a recommendation. So I think it is natural for us to come to them and say, we've made our recommendation. What we'd like to focus on in 2025 is implementing and pursuing the recommendation. Okay. And I have a list of what that all entails. And we can maybe get their feedback on timing, right? What do they want to prioritize for the Springtown meeting? What do they want to put into the Fall Town meeting? When do they want to start a climate action plan effort? Does that happen with grant funding? Does it happen before grant funding and try to go get grant funding? So they might have some advice on how to pursue this. And we'd ask them for that advice just because the more they're involved with it, the more they have ownership over it.
So, I sent you all a link to the Green Communities seminars that we went to. There were a couple of towns that listed how the process that they went through, to get the stretch codes approved, the specialized stretch code and things like that. So I think we can look at that and look at the time frames that they were using and factor that into what we're thinking about and our recommendations.
I think that may be a good part of the presentation of the select board, because when we made the recommendation, they nodded their heads, but then I think it got put into the too hard to deal with pile. So I think we just want to make sure we help them appreciate how other towns have done it and therefore how we can move it forward.
Exactly. And I think you'll see some blueprints. There were some timelines and things that I think, would really help us.
Beautiful. All right. Love it. Climate Leaders Program and all of the subsets underneath that. What else?
I think we need to publicize our fabulous survey from last year and use it as a catalyst to get our climate action plan before them and have people marching in the streets. Why don't we have one yet? I think we need to be forceful, intelligent and forceful about getting it done. I mean, yes, it's totally linked with climate leaders, but it's also separate and apart in a way, right? What do you all think about that?
Yes, definitely.
Well, a climate action plan is part of the climate leaders. That
Yeah.
is one of the five components.
Right. But when we did our survey, we didn't ask people what they thought of climate leaders, right? They didn't know anything about that. But people do know, the average person does know that Hingham and all these nearby towns are getting climate action plan. So I was just suggesting that, we have a groundswell of support by showing everyone, including at the town meeting, that we have, that we're ready to go. The town is all for it.
Barbara, I think maybe we have a work to do to make it more, people more aware of the program. I'm not sure that the average person at Cohasset does know this is going on in other towns.
Does know what? Or does not climate action plan?
Yeah, it doesn't know that other towns have done, climate action plans. I think it's sort of well, it's I think if we could figure out how to publicize it a bit more. It makes
Yeah,
people
that's not, I'm open to that. I mean, I have trouble believing that our well-educated citizens aren't aware of it, because when you think about what happened in Hingham, people were out in the street, people wanted a climate action plan. And I think it was a large amount of people. Tanya, you're more intimately involved with that than me, but it was a groundswell of support, wouldn't you say?
I think the difference there's a couple of differences between Hingham and Cohasset. One of which is Hingham has like 3 to 5 citizens groups.
Right.
very
They were the
passionate.
catalyst.
They
Absolutely.
were the catalyst. The second is they have the Hingham Light Plant. And so there was funding that could be obtained to support a climate action plan.
Right. National Grid told us, I mean, we have the numbers from National Grid, right, Tim? They want to be aggressive in helping us.
Yep. No, I agree. I think definitely publicizing the results. I think publicizing. We have an opportunity every year around Earth Day for Stroll Magazine, and they love to get content, and we have provided them content in the past. We did one or two articles last year or the year before, and one year we did like 5 articles.
This year we did one.
This year. So we can maybe ask if we could do 5 articles, one on each piece of the Climate Leaders program. And that would include the survey results.
I'm
as one of the
having coffee with Melissa Shore tomorrow from Stroll.
Woo! Wow!
I will talk to her. Yeah. 5
That would be
articles.
great.
Okay, great. I
You-
have
you
to
know,
say, I
also,
really, really enjoyed the head of the climate action plan in Hingham, his presentation. And I thought he had a plan laid out for us. We just need to go back and listen to his presentation and follow all of his recommendations, because I think that would make it really easy for us. There's a process, and it takes time, and you have to work at it. So I totally agree with you, Barbara.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He
Yeah.
was wonderful, and he was so generous and said,
Yeah.
let me hold your hand and walk you through it and get it done, right? No time like
Yeah.
the present.
Yeah.
And we put his slides in the appendix or the attachment as an attachment to those meeting minutes. So those will be posted. I just sent those to get posted. I think that was
Can we
October.
access a video of that?
We have that too.
Yeah, it's
That would
on
be
it's on the town YouTube site. If you go to the Cohasset YouTube site and look at the AEC videos, I think that was October, September. You can re-listen to it. He was great. He was really helpful.
Yeah.
Maybe the article that talks about this can have that link listed, or a QR code that goes to that link.
But I'm sorry, yeah. And Martha, you said that that YouTube link is on the AEC page.
You're on mute.
You're on mute. Martha, you're on mute. Yeah,
Sorry.
thanks.
Just go to Google, type in Cohasset YouTube channel AEC, and it'll send you to all of our old recordings, and you can see everything we've done. And all of the
Fantastic.
funny faces that you made and things that you said.
By the way, since we're talking about the AEC town website, in case some of you missed it, did you see the note from Julia that she sent to all of us about the child that stumbled on our website and was so enthralled with it?
Were they
I-
in New York? Was that
I
in New
don't know.
York?
It doesn't say in the
Yeah.
email. They didn't say what town they're from. Martina Costa was a person who sent this. Apparently, she is an assistant at the library, her local library, but she doesn't say what town she's in. But I thought it was so neat, that one of her students stumbled on our website and was so impressed. Found so much good information. I suspect, Debbie, a lot of it were the education program you put together. And the
Well,
videos.
it was absolutely adorable. I wrote back, I don't know, to I guess Julian, that I think I looked at the website. I don't know if you did, and it's a commercial website, but I think the only way if we put it up and it had good information. I don't know if any of you looked it up, but it was a lot of the things about lowering your thermostat and that kind of thing. But I feel like it needs qualifying words why it's there. And if we put the backstory up there, it would be very cute. And I think, that would justify us putting it up. But I don't know how the rest of you feel about that.
Oh, I don't have any feelings one way or the other about that. I just tickled that they found our website to be,
How
fun and
old?
useful.
How
Yeah.
old were these kids?
It doesn't say, take a look at the email from Julia. She doesn't say, she just says, I'm volunteering with a children's program at my local library this month, and the kids are all working on projects about energy and sustainability. One of the kiddos, Zoe, was doing a research and she ended up on the Alternative Energy Committee's webpage.
How the
I
heck?
was envis-
How she found that? I mean,
I was
how did
envisioning
she
a
find our
6-year-old.
webpage? I don't
Yeah.
know, but anyway, I thought that was so great. That a young kid found our webpage and found things of interest on it.
And was enthralled, right? I guess
Yes,
she was
right.
watching the videos, and I'm sure she saw the kitchen conversation between Barbara
I'm
and
sure that's
Debbie.
what sold her, the kitchen conversation.
Yeah, but whether or not we want to put her the link that the lady sent us, I'm not sure. But anyways,
Well, if it is educational, we do have a link to the Mass CEC, right, for potential vendor recommendations. And I think we could couch it in the same terms, which is this link was provided to us by a young person in New York who was doing research and had stumbled upon our webpage, and we've looked at it and
Exactly.
got some great information on how you can conserve energy.
yeah.
Exactly. I think the backstory is really important. Because
If we
it
do that,
really
we're going to have
puts
to
the link.
reply to her and tell her,
It's some
that
it's some mortgage calculator or something. So, it does need explanation about why it would be up there, but it's full of good information. So I think as long as we put the backstory, and I think people would get a kick out of it, that, that people found validity with some of the things we had on there, so.
I mean, if it's
I'm amazed. It must have shown up near the top of a Google search. Our webpage would turn up at the top of a Google search is really amazing.
do we have metrics? We might be viral and not even know it.
Now you're getting carried away. Now that's crazy. That's crazy.
Do we get metrics, Julia? Can we ask for metrics on what's been happening to our webpage?
I'll ask Kevin for the metrics.
Oh
Action
my
item.
God, I think it's the cooking video. I mean, seriously.
I know that went viral. Really, it was hot.
Yeah, no, look, I think because we're just doing it, right? And we're all here as volunteers. If you take a breath and look back at what we've done since 2020, it's quite a lot. And then we have microgrid tours and we have kitchen debates about induction versus gas stoves, and we've got ribbon cutting ceremonies for the electric or for the charging stations. Cute little, she must have liked the little electric car, the song from the EV charging station ribbon cutting, maybe the school bus. I don't know, but we have a lot of content. We've done a lot of great things, and I think that it's a commentary on the great work that you've all done, that a little girl in New York, Zoe, could find us. So Zoe, if you're listening to this, because you're now tracking us and watching our meetings, thank you for reaching out to us. Closer to home, there are 2 8th graders who did an analysis as part of their research program in 8th grade, and they looked at what is the best renewable energy for Cohasset. And as part of that program, Debbie, I think you've been involved in that before. Kathleen Cerruti reached out to me to ask if they could
Yes,
interview
yep.
me.
I actually made a talk on biochar with them. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So anyway, they interviewed Debbie, they interviewed me. I don't know who else they interviewed, but they have come to the conclusion that the best renewable energy resource for Cohasset right now is solar. And if we are interested in having them come and do their presentation, I think they are part of a bigger program. It's not just in their library, but if we are interested in having them give us a presentation on what they researched and their findings, I'd be happy to reach out to them and have them.
Oh, I
come.
think that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I do
Love
too.
that
I
idea.
do. Supporting them is great.
All right.
That is great.
And they were all excited about fusion and then realized the problem's not the fusion. The problem is creating a box to hold the sun. So they don't think fusion is the right renewable resource for Cohasset right now until we figure that out. So why don't I reach out to them and see if they're available for our January meeting? Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right. What I think the electric vehicle inventory, which we could call a subset under the Climate Leaders Program or a standalone effort, that would be something that we want. And I think for 2025, we have the solar opportunities, which I think is separate from the Climate Leaders Program, but part of it. And that is the police station, the school roofs, and other potential locations for solar. And then I think we have an effort underway to continue to look at whether or not level 3 chargers make sense, again, in the context of efforts that are underway for the town, as well as the opportunities that are available through grant programs. So again, those are continuation of things we've been doing, but we want to keep the momentum moving forward. Anything else?
Well, that specialized code.
Specialized code for sure.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's a standalone too.
Yep.
It is.
What about education program? What do we want to do on that?
Well, I think there's a lot that can be done, and I think we should move forward on it. I think we need to rethink it. But now that we have Julia, maybe things could be a little different, and maybe we could do something in a different way. We were very hamstrung by the constraints put on us, but so anyway, I think that's something we could think about, because education is absolutely key, especially in the making inroads in energy saving in the residential side. So I think that's really important. I just wanted to say one thing before I forget. Amanda and I have been, talking back and forth, and so she is going to, we've got a meeting, and, you know, and I think Barbara, I'm going to send you the link, for, and anybody else who wants to come. Jack Buckley and Amanda and I are going to talk about, you know, doing National Grid working with CSCR on their building. And ironically, Jack had just contacted Mass Save to have an inventory done, and he didn't get a hold of the guy, sort of bagged out on him. And so there'll be, and I said, well, you know, actually National Grid, I told Jack, can do a lot more than just Mass Save, you know, the typical program of Mass Save. So she's going to deal with trying to energy, you know, do energy savings for CSER,
Great.
which is pretty exciting. That building has got to leak like a sieve.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we have a list, and once we put it down and get prepared to present to the select board, we might have some other ideas. And of course, there might be opportunities that arise as well. On the education, Debbie, maybe what we do is position it as we believe that there are educational opportunities as part of these initiatives. And so we would do that on an opportunistic basis going forward, and follow a format that seems to make sense as it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to tell them that's what we're going to do, more so than really asking. Okay. And then I think you have your action item, Martha, to talk to Melissa about whether or not we could do a like 4 to 5 article series, all tied around Climate Leaders Program, and those individual components that stand on their own and yet together allow us to enter into another program. And that will be something we want to assign out in January, because I think she needs that 6 to 8 weeks in advance. So she would need that by the beginning of March.
Right.
All right. Anything else on 2025 initiatives? All right. We are at 9:02. So we've got 3 minutes to go for our hour and a half. Matters not reasonably known in advance of the posting.
Oh, I can give you a quick update on the bylaws. I went to town hall. The bylaws have all been sent to the Attorney General. The Attorney General approved them. It'll take town hall another month or so to post the new bylaws. But basically, there's nothing to worry about. Palmer Capital had raised an issue about Article 11. There is no Article 11, so I'm not sure what the concern was, but everything is fine. So
Okay.
we're good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cross that off your list, Martha. Nice work. I mean, big cross off, like big magic marker black cross off your list. Thank you for doing that. I don't think bylaw committee is on our list for 2025. Is that correct? Hopefully not. Unless it's putting in a new chapter for storage, but we'll worry about that later. Maybe that's 2026. We'll let everybody just take a rest. Okay. Anything else? Well, thank you. And I wish everybody the most joyous holiday season and Happy New Year. And thank you for making 2024 so incredibly effective and informed and active and passionate. As always, it's a joy to be on this committee, and I appreciate all that you do and all that you bring to the table, and the town does as well. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and I'll see you in 2025. All right.
Wow.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Merry Christmas.
So moved.
Okay. Second.
Second.
All right. Martha, you figure out who did the second.
I
Everybody
got
in
it.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas.
everybody.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye. See ya. Bye.